Hi, my name is Miranda Thomas. This is going to be my exam one submission for the practice set City of Smithville. Quick introduction on myself. This is my last class in the Southeastern Oklahoma State at Southeastern. Prior to this class, I was in the MBA program from March 2020 until August of this year. And that was the MBA program with an emphasis in accounting. So this is my last class, trying to get my 30 credit hours for CPA eligibility. I currently work as a staff internal auditor for a company out in Buffalo, New York. They're called Gibraltar Industries. I work remotely from my home in Norman, Oklahoma. Prior to that, I worked for the Hertz Corporation out in the city. Worked as a staff internal auditor again. Was laid off due to COVID, unfortunately, and that's how I got this new job. Prior to all of that, I studied at the University of Oklahoma, and that's where I received my undergrad in accounting. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Work as a staff internal auditor, trying to become a CPA is the short-term goal for right now. Anyway, so that's my intro. Let's go ahead and switch over and show you my practice set for the City of Smithville. And share. Okay, should be sharing now. So this is my practice set. We've got our general fund right here. And this one is a big bulk of the entries. Well, I guess this is the big bulk of 2 through 4. So chapter 2 is kind of opening our books from 2022 trial balance. So getting in all of those accounts with their journal entries. Chapter 3 was recording our annual budget, and that was only in our general fund, as those are not going to go in our governmental. We did have some in our governmental from chapter 2. Moving on to chapter 4, these were just operational transactions, ranging from property taxes to check payments, several different journal entries there. And then we had our closing entries. Let me show you our ledger. I hope I didn't go too fast there. So that's the fund, the journal, and our ledger. So we can see kind of some of these closing entries where we zeroed out on our balances. Let's scroll through this real quick. Okay, and that's our general ledger. We have our revenues ledger. And I believe this one was all closed out in our closing entries. Yep. And then we've got our appropriations, expenditures ledger, and these were also closed out as well. So that's the general fund. Let's move on. We have our street improvement fund, and this was chapter 5. And these were capital asset transactions for the street improvement fund. Lots of entries for the Elm Street project, including payments, entries to encumbrances, different such entries. We also had our closing entries, and this one we closed all out to the fund balance restricted. Let's show you the ledger real quick, and we only had a general ledger here. And everything was closed out in this fund except for cash. We see our $1,000 balance still remaining. So that's going to be our street improvement fund. We have the street improvement bond debt service fund. And this was for chapter 6. These were transactions affecting the general long-term liabilities and then debt services. So several different entries here: bonds sold, premium on bonds. And then we had our closing entries again, right here. Let's see. And here's our ledger. Again, we only had a general ledger for this fund, and everything was closed out in this fund. So we had no post-closing trial balance for this one. Our next fund is our governmental, and this had entries from every chapter except for chapter 3, like I said previously, as those were the budgetary entries, and those were not included in our governmental activities fund. So chapter 2 again, posting or opening the balance right from 2022 post-closing trial balance. Chapter 4 was those operational transactions, payments, other types of transactions. Chapter 5 was the capital asset transactions. And then 6 was the bonds. We had chapter 9 here as well. And then our long list of closing entries. And this one having to do with our net position as well. Let's go look at our ledger. Let me scroll back up real quick so you can see everything. Okay, and we have our ledger. And again, this one, we only have the general ledger. And we closed out some things, we didn't close out everything. You can see that here at the end, like this one wasn't closed out, but this one was. Let's just scroll through this real quick. This was a long one. All right, that's going to be our governmental ledger. Scroll back up real quick. And that should be our last fund. We did not post anything in our solid waste disposal fund, and we also did not post anything in the tax custodial fund. So let's come back up to general just to show a couple things so we can kind of look real quick and see our pre-closing trial balance. And let's pick 2023. That's the year we worked in. Let's see. So we got our pre-closing trial balance of the general fund. You can see all the accounts here. And we had a closing balance, or sorry, pre-closing balance of $8,930,055. And let's see, we can export that to Excel as well. So we can do export pre-closing trial balance to Excel. And it's going to try and save it. 1 second. Let me get it pulled up for you. Apologies, it's a little slow. It's coming. Here we go. Okay. So we exported that. It made me save it to my computer first before I could open it. But we can see that same balance that we saw on the PDF version of $8,930,055. And that was for the pre-closing trial balance, the general fund. So let's get out of that. And you could do the same thing for the post-closing. You can pick 2023. Could see your checks here and do the same thing, export that again and get that same balance. And that should be it. I think that covers the majority of, that covers all of the practice set for City of Smithville. I think I've shown you all of my funds and ledgers, exporting to Excel and how that works, how we can show PDFs as well. And that should be it. So thank you very much.